Alright guys, new indoor project fish tank. It's just getting started, and it's already well into being cycled because, well, I cheated. And if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. What I mean by I cheated is it's only a 10-gallon tank, and just over to that side of the screen there, I have two 55s in a stack system. Those tanks are well over 2 years old and just beautifully cycled. So when I added water to this tank right here, you know what I did. I took water out of my 55s. I took 5 gallons out of each tank and added actually more like 4 gallons out of each tank, because with all the displacement, there's actually about 8 gallons of water in this 10-gallon tank. Purpose of this tank: freshwater shrimp breeder and holdover tank. I found a gentleman in Louisiana, and he has a pond in his backyard. He sells these shrimp on eBay, and I'll put his information as an eBay seller for you right down there in the video notes. I can't vouch for him yet because the shrimp aren't here yet, but he's got great seller reviews, and that tends to work out pretty good for us on eBay in general. When somebody has good seller reviews, they tend to be a good provider. So we'll see if he is. The big thing about these shrimp, these are Mississippi grass shrimp, and they're also known as glass shrimp in the pet hobby, but there's actually a lot of different species of them. And the Mississippi grass shrimp is a shrimp that lives in the Mississippi River area, but lives throughout the United States, and they are very cold hardy. This gentleman says he has had ice on the top of his pond 3 of the last 4 years, and the shrimp survive. That doesn't mean, though, that they'll survive outside, out there, in my aquaponics systems outside that you've seen in my other videos. They may or may not, because surviving in a 100-gallon tank is a hell of a lot different than surviving in a multi-thousand or multi-100,000-gallon pond where there's mud to go in and stuff like this. So this is my insurance policy that I'll never run out. Now, these things breed like crazy, so I've got 100 coming. There's 4 tanks outside that they're going into that there's fish in them that should need them. 3 of them have really no fish other than minnows in them. And that will be my breeding colony. And hopefully I'll have huge numbers of them every year, and I can just go in there and net them out and put them in with my perch and my bluegills and stuff like that, and feed my fish with a algae and filter and moss type feeder. So that'll basically give me a great protein source for very little to no money. This tank I set up to be an optimum breeding tank. It's not done yet. It's only been set up for 3 days. Again, I cheated. I've checked the levels in it. It is just beautifully humming along because I used pre-cycled water in the tank, which is a great trick if you have the water available. Here's how I set this up, though. Down here at the bottom, where you really can't even see, there's just a very thin layer of compost. I put that in my oven, and I baked that at 250 degrees for like 40 minutes to make sure anything in there that was alive would be dead. Did the same thing with lava sand, so it's real clear that you got lava rock here. But this is a layer of lava sand that actually creates the features. And that is a great substrate for the little guys to go down and burrow into and things like that. They like sand. Also baked that. Lava rock, gave it a really good rinse. And this lava rock has tons of little holes and stuff for all the fish fry to go into, because they're itty bitty when they're first born. Plus it creates all those different cavern stuff, so it's a great place for all the little babies to hide. And then we got the Cholla cactus wood. I went to the North American Reptile Breeders Conference at Arlington this past weekend and hand selected these for maximum little places to hide as well. There is one little bit of aquatic grass in the back there that I pulled out of one of my other tanks growing. What you don't see real well, and you might be thinking, it kind of looks subdued for a good light. Let's take a look up top here. See that? Got a floating mat of salvinia up there. And that's what this contraption right here, that's part of what it is all about. Let's talk about what we got going on here. All right. So, what I wanted to be able to do was give those guys that mat of salvinia or duckweed or anything. I can put water lettuce up there, anything I want. Because a couple of things. One, they like it. It's good for them. They'll go up and they'll feed off of the stuff that grows on the roots. The other thing is, shrimp like to jettison themselves out of tanks. If you keep it capped like that, you don't need to really use a tank cover, though I may eventually build one for it, but you don't really need it, because as long as there's vegetation up there, they don't decide to go see what's on the other side of doom. So I wanted that as well. The problem is, when you're running a tank like this and you want to do surface vegetation, your filter is, moving and agitating water. That's one of its purposes. Well, what it ends up doing is beating up that vegetation, that vegetation gets beaten down, gets sucked in underneath your filter and pulled up into your filter, and then all your vegetation dies and it clogs up your filter and you're unhappy and your fish are not happy, your shrimp aren't happy, whatever. Here's what I did. I took a, make sure I say it right, Tetra Whisper PF10 over tank filter. I actually use Aquatech 3060s in my 55s, and I got the I had ordered the Aquatech 2040 or something like that, which basically is a half of a 3060. It's just got one filter cartridge in it, and it was too big to do what I wanted to do here. This is like, let's focus in on that a little bit. This is one of those little critter keepers they sell for about $5 made out of acrylic. And all I did was take the lip, we'll ignore the wood, that's going to go away. Just took the lip and took those little clips and clipped it on the side of the tank. I was going to do it with silicone. Let me get that where you can see it. But the lip of that little critter keeper just fit right in the square of this 10-gallon tank. There's a gap in the back of about that much. But that gave support on this lip and that lip. And then this Whisper filter just went over the top of it. So then, what I did after that, let me get you back to where you're looking at stuff here, is I put the downspout of the Whisper filter into the critter keeper, which you can see is drilled with holes all around here and all across the bottom. If I had to do it again, and I might eventually buy another one of these little cheap critter keepers to fix it, I actually wouldn't have put the holes in the bottom at all, because that would force more of the flow to come in from the sides if I did that. There's some modifications I might make to this in the future that will make it better. That's just one of them. But it works really good, and the original purpose, like I said, was just to keep all this top vegetation here from getting tumbled and tore up. But once I had that, I was like, well, you know, why don't we make it a huge biological and mechanical filter? So what I did is I put a layer of lava rock at the bottom, and that'll keep this stuff, which is not gravel, this is expanded shale, and it'll keep it because it's pretty light. The filter would just suck it up into the filter and they would be unhappy again. So we went ahead and did a lava rock until we covered the bottom of the filter suck unit, the intake suck unit, the bottom of the filter intake, and then I filled it almost all the way up with the expanded shale, right up to the top. And you can see right there at the top, there's a series of holes that are slightly larger. And the tripod is working against me here. Anyway, there's a series of holes that are a bit larger than the ones at the bottom. And because it's really easy to draw the water in, but it would take a lot for that water to go down, that water flow is coming straight out this way. And this is just perfect, a perfect setup, because it's being pacified by those holes. But that's making that water flow just really gentle right along that roof, those roots, and stimulating the growth of that top plant level. And of course that's going to come here and just kind of hit like this, and then you're going to have a bottom flow that's just really gentle back here, and your particulate matter goes up into this biological filter and then goes into the external filter and then spills back and repeats the cycle. So this is just a very gentle, moderate cycle. When I installed this filter yesterday evening, you couldn't see the back of the tank. You couldn't see that little bit of aquatic grass back there at all. It was just cloudy from the sand, cloudy from the stone, cloudy from being just set up, cloudy because there's a dirty bottom tank with compost, and now you can see it's very clear. Now, it doesn't look super bright, and it's never really going to. It might get a little clearer and a little brighter, but the truth is, since that layer of grass there, you have that kind of green hue to it. It's just like a pond bottom, really. The other thing is, you notice the back has kind of a sense of depth. All I did to do that, guys, this is a $15 Walmart fish tank, and I took a can of spray paint and just spray painted the back of the tank. You can spray paint the sides too, but I want to be able to see into the sides. But that is like the easiest way to do the backings of your tank to me. You can do any color. You can do like a frosted white, and it creates more of a sense of depth. You can also get like frosted window tinting film. That's another cool aquascaping thing. As far as the scaping, it's nowhere near done. We got some Marcimino moss balls coming, because the shrimp love those. And the main thing that's going to be in this tank is Java moss. I want this whole thing just covered, especially the Cholla wood, in Java moss. The light is actually a pretty cool light. I'll give you a little blinding look at it here for a second. And these are like 30 bucks on Amazon. I'll put the link in the video notes for them as well. They're perfect for a 10-gallon tank. They do come with brackets that actually holds them up about as high as they are now, and they insert into the end and they clamp on the ends of your tank, and they work perfectly for a 10-gallon tank. This size does anyway. The reason I have those 2x4s up there temporarily, when I took and put this filter on the end, which I like because it doesn't make me keep the tank far off of the wall. I don't have to, you know, if you think about it, I was up against the wall, I'd have to be at least that far off the wall. So you're talking that much out. And the side just looks better, more aesthetically pleasing for the filter. So because of that, those brackets won't actually go out there. What I'm going to do is make some metal brackets and paint them black that'll insert and come over like kind of butterfly off. So they go that way and hold it up. And that way it'll look a lot cleaner. Or, I mean, honestly, if I painted those 2x4s black, they'd kind of just disappear. You really wouldn't notice them at all. Gonna have to move our picture of the wolf there. He got it. He's getting kind of moved out of the way because he's obstructed now. But this is going to be an interesting little experiment. And what my hope is to always have a breeding population of these guys here. And from my spring all the way through late summer, just breed the heck out of them in my big tanks outside. Have massive numbers of them to feed my fish with. And, you know, maybe even sell a few to the pet shop for some store credit. And, you know, cut the cost of my feed for all my indoor fish, all my hobby fish. There are snails in here. You can see one, he's kind of cruising along there. These are, I call them spontaneous generation snails. I don't know the species they are. They just kind of show up whenever in anybody's tank you ever have. These little guys show up. If anybody knows what they're called, I'd actually like to know. They don't get much bigger than that guy right there. I'm probably going to add some Malaysian trumpet snails to this tank. They go really good with the shrimp. The shrimp actually like to eat the waste of the snails. As far as fish, little bitty fry, even fish to get along with, you know, adult or subadult ghost shrimps, grass shrimps. They almost anything will eat the itty bitty little, you know, flea-sized microbic plankton that is a baby grass shrimp. So we won't do much with fish in here. Probably the best tank mate you can have as a fish that is going to be the least innocuous with that is white cloud minnows. And white clouds will look cool in here, so I'll probably put 4 to 6 white clouds in here just for a little more interest. And they will spend most of their time kind of in this part of the water. And with all of those hiding spots down there, they might eat a shrimp or two, but we should have no problems getting the breeding done. Anyway, this tank's come a long way. If you're wondering about this suspended piece of cholla wood here, here's how this works. This stuff floats because it's wood. There's a Monty Python joke in that somewhere. These are kind of pushed into the substrate, and it's been enough to hold them down. This guy's a problem child, and he keeps finding his way back to the surface and stirring everything up. So I just stuck him under that biofilter there, and he's just going to sit there until he sinks. And when he sinks, I'm probably going to lay it kind of right in there, kind of like that. So if you got these 3 pieces forming like that, and then kind of another piece coming up out, it'll also go into the substrate between these two and go up on that hill. We're going to name that hill. You know what we're going to name the hill. Come on. Guess before I tell you. What are we going to name the hill in the fish tank? Shrimp Mountain. That's going to be Shrimp Mountain over there. I might even make the peak a little higher with a couple more pieces of lava rock once I get all the rest of the aquascaping done. So shrimp should be here tomorrow. If they do get here early enough, I'll do like a tank introduction video. If not, I just need to get them in the tank. I'll do a video the next day once they're kind of getting used to it. My plan is to put 20 of them in here. I got 100 coming, 20 here, and then I got those 4 tanks outside, so 20 in each tank outside. See if any of those tanks are better predisposed for them to overwinter. See if they start breeding, that type of thing. Water temperature that's perfect is between 78 and 80 degrees. That little heater right there doesn't even have a setting knob on it. It sets at 78.5 degrees up to 82.5 degrees, and it holds that zone of temperature. So it's kind of a set it and forget it little heater. If I figure out which one it is, I'll put a link in the video notes for it. But they sell them at Petco is where I got that one. And a lady recommended it. It seems like it works really well. I have checked the water temperature, and it's bang on. It's holding to like 78. It's about 78.5 to 79.5 and fluctuating in 1 degree. That's good for them to breed. It's also good for gestation. So this should be a fun project, and we will catch up with you later on. If you have any questions about this project or anything else with my aquaponics systems or anything else I do on my YouTube channel, you know what to do. Put them right down there in the comments and I'll try to get answers to you. And remember, if you like this kind of stuff, you'll probably love my podcast called The Survival Podcast. You can find that where? tspc.co, tspc.co. All the cool kids would put it in their phone. You should put it in yours too and see what's on the other side of it.